Welcome back to the Last Week This Week podcast, episode 53. Yeah, I'm Ian Scott.
And I'm Zach Huber.
And this is the podcast where we talk about nerd topics from the last week and this week. And we got a cool review and some other topics we want to go through with you guys today.
Yeah, some of those topics are going to be the new trailer for the animated shorts coming from Star Wars called Tales of the Empire, as well as we have our new Silver Surfer with Julia Garner, as well as a theory about where the Fantastic Four movie might which universe it might be a part of. We also have a hypothetical about which TV show or spin-off movie you would do for a Batman character, as well as the Avengelyne movie with Margot Robbie and Olivia Wilde that apparently is being shopped around, as well as Dune Part 3 and a new movie that Denis Villeneuve is attached. And then maybe if we have time, we'll have an extra topic. But I think we're going to first start with our Godzilla x Kong review.
Yeah.
So we saw Godzilla x Kong this past weekend or week. And so I'm going to start off with you. Just some first thoughts, not anything spoiled. I mean, to be honest, is there much to spoil?
There isn't.
I don't think so.
I feel like we could go into this just in a spoiler review if you guys are cool with it.
I mean, I guess I don't think anybody's going to a Godzilla x Kong movie for like the plot.
Right.
So maybe we don't even have to do that.
Okay. So my thoughts, I did like this a lot more than the last movie. It wasn't everything that I was like hearing the hype about, but it was a really fun movie. It had a lot of really good visual storytelling. I love that the Kong and Godzilla felt like main characters this time around.
At least one of them, I think.
Sure, I would say sure. One more than the other. But like for the most part, most of the fights were really well done. Visually, it looked really well done. Some good humor. I was pretty happy with this one, to be honest. So
okay,
those are my initial thoughts, I guess.
I'll say I did enjoy it. I feel kind of, but the thing is, I kind of feel like I didn't get what I thought I was gonna get. And
so what did you think you were going to get?
Like, I thought I was going to get, and in a way I did get it, but I thought I was going to get this just like high octane, just like craziness, which like just straight up so many monster battles, which we did.
We did get a lot. Yeah. Like way more than the last one.
But my issue is that we got a lot, but they didn't last long. And
there's two fights I was actually pretty upset with.
Yeah, like I will say, like the two fights I was pretty upset with were the Godzilla fight with the Tiamat.
Yeah, I was like, we just cut away from that. Like that's it. So, like that they were building that up. He was like the most like insane, massive amount of energy in the world is like right there with Tiamat.
Exactly,
and he just kills him. Right.
So that one was pretty disappointing. And then the one with Kong in the water.
Yes, they just cut like he threw his head, and I was like, come on, we need to see more of that fight.
Both these like water, ones. I was like, all right,
they don't have to do water fights, I guess.
So. In a way, like, I did have, like, I had fun with it. The plot is completely nonsensical. I can't even
but here's the thing. It is crazy at points. I'll give you that, but it's like, it's a way better story than what we got last time. Like,
see, I feel like I disagree. I'll say this. I liked Godzilla versus Kong more than this movie.
No.
Because... No. Now, I don't remember all of the plot with Godzilla versus Kong, but at least there was...
You had a human villain. That was lame as hell. Like,
well, I don't know. I kind of like that extra side of it. But with this one, I was like, okay, it was just kind of ridiculous because they're like, my daughter, who's from this like tribe from Hollow Earth, is having these dreams and writing this shit, and then we're like, oh my god, it looks the same way as these fucking sensor readings. And I was like, yeah, I guess it's a bit of some sort of a stretch, but they follow Kong in, and then I didn't really care about any of the like, these are your people, and like I'm letting you go, and all this.
But in a sense, like if you're gonna build out lore for anyone, like do it for Kong and that little girl who have like really had no lore built off them and have been in like multiple movies, you know?
Yeah. Well, so like I don't know. I thought it was gonna be a lot more fun. To also, like, I had fun with Godzilla X Kong, and I liked feeling the like antagonistic nature of the two, like throughout the whole movie. It was definitely just a Kong movie, because I felt like Godzilla was kind of an afterthought half the time. Like because with him, he was like, okay, when we cut to Godzilla, he's fighting this crab creature in Rome. He's sleeping in the Colosseum, and then
like what else is he supposed to be doing? He's the protector of Earth, and he sleeps and then he fights. Like that's it, you know?
Well, but that's not an excuse to have, like, because they're right there. It's like, well, what else is he supposed to do? I feel like there's got to be something else with his character, you know? Like a lot of it was Kong, and then Godzilla was like, well, I feel like I'm sensing something, and we're just assuming he's sensing what's going on,
right?
And so he like goes and hibernates and gets pink. But there, like that. So for me, like, I just wish there was more of like a Godzilla side. I liked all the Kong stuff, like him when Kong goes searching, basically, and like follows that little monkey, like everything leading up to like the Scar King, and even like the dialogueless like interaction, that was like great. That was so good.
Literally every time Kong was on screen and it was just him and like that little monkey, even like that was probably my favorite parts of the movie, because it was like pure visual storytelling, and you could tell like what Kong was feeling. You could tell what was going on. It was really well done. And and for the human side of things, what was so rough about last movie is that you had like in so many of these like, you know, I guess big budget Hollywood movies like Transformers and like Independence Day, like those are the movies that come to me where like everyone is like everywhere, like you're focusing on like 5 different like human plot lines. This one was like one plot line. It was interesting because it was a mystery. You were trying to figure out like what was going on in Hollow Earth, and like 2 of the characters I was actually like pretty happy, like Trapper and the podcast guy were pretty funny like the whole movie. And then you also like built out like and I guess the problem, or maybe not the problem, but the reason I don't have a problem with like how crazy this movie gets is because you basically took it to an insane level last movie, and I'm like, okay, anything that comes after this is just like building on top of that, and we just have to roll with it. And so I didn't really have a problem with that, like with the girl like having these kind of powers, and like these people like living in Hollow Earth that also like speak telepathically and like have Mothra as their guardian. I was like, okay,
Mothra was great. I love Mothra.
Mothra was cool. Yeah, I was happy to see him. I wasn't expecting that. I think like my problems per se were like those 2 fights I spoke about, and then the fight, like how it starts at the end is I don't hate it, but it's like everyone's floating around. You're not getting like the weight and everything. So when it's finally like grounds itself, that's when it gets really good. And especially when they go to Brazil, like that's a really good fight spot. They totally decimate Brazil or whatever, Sao Paulo or whatever it is.
I was telling Hannah, like she hasn't seen like any of the MonsterVerse movies, so this was her first one. And I was like, I
think you actually need to see the last one first, to be honest.
And I was like, the weight of like the decimation that you could feel in 2014's Godzilla is nowhere.
Yeah.
Nowhere. Like it's just like it's like, yep, that's a building. It's a whole city's been destroyed.
Yeah, this building's just being flung right at Kong, and you're not really feeling it, right? Yeah, no, but I don't know. I think also the villains were pretty well crafted. Like you had this ambitious orangutan ape that wanted to conquer the surface Earth, and then he was, controlling this ice dragon. And the ice dragon was done pretty well. Like I was pretty happy with like how it was being controlled and how it had this kind of like emotion you saw at the end.
Yeah.
All the emotion in the Titans were done like pretty well,
Yeah.
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 So,
I liked Shimu. I thought Shimu was cool.
Shimu, right.
Yeah, I to be honest, I thought that the end fight, like to me, the end fight with Godzilla and Kong, and then when it switches over to fighting Mechagodzilla, I was so happy. I loved it so much.
It's just such a short
this
fight,
one
though. This one's not like, I feel like this one's longer, to be honest.
I guess I gotta rewatch it, but I'm just remembering back on like how I felt more than anything. And this one was fine. It was fine.
Fine, that's it?
Like
I don't know. I was pretty hype at the last fight once it got grounded.
I feel like I'm not alone in this because I saw that there was like an article put out after the movie came out where it was the MonsterVerse has a villain problem, and like I guess I kind of agree where it was like this one also in a way is like, okay, let's have evil King Kong, and then let's have this like, not necessarily that Shimu is the opposite, but like, I guess
it's a foil to Godzilla, sure.
And I was like, fair. And also I was like, yeah, like I granted I liked both of them, but like I guess I didn't feel like when King Ghidorah shows up in Godzilla King of the Monsters, I was like, this is a good villain. And I still think they're going to do something with that because like they still have his head, if I remember correctly from the end of that movie. But I don't know. Like I felt like, I don't know. I thought it was interesting that like Scar King was going to like wanted to do something on top of the earth. But I didn't feel like the weight of like the scariness with him all the time. Like I was like, oh, he wants to get up there and cause some shit, but like I don't know. Also,
I mean, like if Godzilla and Kong are like, if he goes past them, then like that's it, like
no, for sure. Yeah. But like, and I don't want to be too negative. I still had a good time. Do I think I want to watch it again? Probably not.
I honestly would have a good time watching it again with somebody. I think I would.
Yeah, I mean, like
which is wild.
I'm glad that you like the stuff between Trapper and the podcast guy. I didn't
like how we both can't remember his name.
I really found Brian Tyrese Henry, like I didn't think he was that funny.
He had a couple
or
of cheesy lines for sure. Like he had some rough ones, but like for the most part, yeah.
I like Trapper.
Trapper was cool.
I like Trapper.
And I didn't like him in the last movie. But
was he in the last movie?
Wasn't he? I thought
he was a new character.
I thought he was with the woman. Like,
was he
last movie? Yeah, the CEO woman. Yeah.
Well, I have no idea.
I don't know.
Honestly.
I mean, they definitely hint at it. At like early.
I know that there was like a past relationship, and I was like, okay, all right. Yeah, so they have a history. Okay. But I like I thought it was hilarious when he's like taking baby Kong and just beating the shit out of those. Oh my god,
that fight was great.
That was a good fight.
That. Yeah, it was a good one.
And I like the beginning of the movie too, like when he's like luring those like dog creature things.
Like again, so much visual storytelling there, and like you got that Kong was smart in that he had been doing this for a while, and then you saw that he was sad because he didn't have any family and he was alone, and like it was just really well done.
Part of the thing is like I could gather that from the beginning of the movie, but then you have these human characters be like, well, Kong's been searching for his family for so long, he must be so sad. And I was like,
they had to really shove it in your face.
Okay, I get it.
Also, did you see this movie in Dolby?
No.
Or no? Okay, so even when I saw it in Dolby, And I don't know if you experienced this too, but like, and I'm bummed about the music in this movie because I think it
I
was
thought there was gonna be like more like
right,
this,
more
you know,
synth 80s
yeah.
like metal, right? Yeah, just this cool stuff. And there really wasn't that. It was like more popular songs from the 80s and 70s. And for the most part, when like they were playing those songs, it was hard to hear. Like they didn't mix it well, at
Oh,
least in my theater. And it was like you could hear a lot of like the fighting and just like the actual noise of the movie over the actual music. And I was like,
gotcha.
this isn't hitting how like Dolby theaters usually hit for music for me. Um,
Interesting. Yeah, I don't
so
know if I had
yeah,
that issue per se.
yeah, I was a little bummed with the music because I was expecting more. But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Other than
guess.
that, right?
Yeah, I guess I still kept my like as much as I could like my expectations like put them away.
Sure.
But I guess the one thing that I thought I was gonna get more of was like that insane like we're gonna go synth heavy like this
Right.
80s music, and we didn't really get that. Like I thought they were
No.
gonna go like really wild with it, and I guess it didn't go wild enough for me. Maybe that's
Yeah,
part of
I
the
would have really
problem.
preferred if like they had their own composer or something, or like somebody who actually did the soundtrack for this movie. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
maybe there was somebody and I just really couldn't tell.
I
But
mean,
yeah, I
I'm
really
sure
wanted
there's
like an
somebody who
original
did the
soundtrack.
soundtrack. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that like
yeah.
yeah. But overall, like I out of 5 stars, I gave it like 3. You know, like it was pretty middle of the road for me. Like,
For like a really dumb like action heavy like monster movie, I'd give this like and it's hard for me to get to a 4, so I'd probably give like a 3.5. Um, but like respectively, it was a fun time and
yeah,
had a lot of really good fights. And to me, it was a much better story. And you condensed the human characters and set it in one plot, and had some of them be pretty funny. And I was feeling it. Yeah.
yeah.
I think it stalled
So
like maybe a little bit at one point in the movie, but like really it was a good time. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty good. It was pretty
Yeah.
good.
Well, wild that I like that more than you. I did not expect that.
I didn't expect it either. I didn't.
Yeah. Well, I think next we would like to talk about a really cool trailer that we're both pretty hyped about.
Yeah.
Tales of the Empire released a few days ago, or a couple days ago.
Yep.
And yeah, I didn't expect this at all. It's dropping on May 4th this year, on Star Wars Day, of course. And yeah, there was a Tales of the Jedi show that came out a year or two ago that focused on Ahsoka and Count Dooku. And
Yeah.
now we're getting this Tales of the Empire show that focuses on Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss Offee.
Mhm.
Two characters I don't think I ever really expected to see again.
Now I
Yeah.
don't remember who Barriss Offee is off the
Okay.
top of my head.
So Barriss Offee, I don't know if you saw like a lot of Clone Wars,
Uh-huh.
but and I'm probably gonna say the name wrong, but she was Luminara Unduli's apprentice.
Okay.
And she was introduced in the first season. And so like throughout Clone Wars, her like Barriss Offee and Ahsoka become friends. And I don't know if you care about spoilers for Clone Wars, or if anyone else out there cares about spoilers for Clone Wars. Um, oh, sorry, I think you
Are
can.
you
Yeah,
waiting
you
for
could.
my I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess
Do you
yeah.
care? I mean,
I
I
guess
mean,
not.
okay, okay. So basically, she is the one who, I guess later on in the show, she becomes like kind of, I can't think of the word, but like she's not in line with the Jedi's like views anymore.
Right.
She is, yeah, so against them at a point where she conspires against them, commits some murders, frames Ahsoka for it.
Oh.
And Ahsoka is almost like she's almost wow, I'm just forgetting words. Convicted for those crimes before
Okay.
Barriss Offee like is, from what I understand, like she's either forced or like just finally comes clean about it all. And so basically Ahsoka gets to go free, but she goes to prison for conspiring against the Republic and the Jedi, and then we haven't seen her since. And that was
Right.
the end of Clone Wars. So now 10 or 11 years later, after Clone Wars ends, we're finally getting a new chapter with Barriss Offee. And from what the trailer is showing, it's and I love this era of Star Wars. Obviously, it's going to be set between episode 3 and 4. You got the Grand Inquisitor who's training her, which I love all the Inquisitor stuff. I know some people don't, but that's a really cool era and group I like.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then we're getting Thrawn in there, we're getting Darth Vader. Yeah, and then the other half, of course, Morgan Elsbeth.
Yeah.
I was honestly happy to get her again because like I was bummed when we killed her in Mandalorian.
Or Ahsoka.
Yeah, right, Ahsoka, right. And now we get a lot of like development and backstory with her.
Yeah.
And it looks like this is like a higher quality animation even than like Clone Wars, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, did you watch the Tales of the Jedi?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so this is, I mean, it looks like
pretty exact,
this,
right?
But this could be a little bit better.
Some of the detail and like when Morgan was like kneeling on the dirt and like she like punched into it, it was like really detailed. I was surprised. Yeah.
No, the animation looks pretty spectacular to be honest.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's a bummer that with a lot of the main like movies and TV shows like Star Wars traditional, like the thing about the prequels was like, oh yeah, like the prequels are now we know like the movies can be heightened so much and like I know a lot of people like them just because they grew up with them and obviously like I grew up with them and I still have a soft spot for them, but a lot of people will be like, well, Clone Wars like really fleshes it out. I'm like, I don't need like it's great. Like if somebody wanted to make like a TV show, which they kind of did with Rebels, but like really like if they wanted to make a TV show between like 4 and 6, and like you get to flesh it out, like that would be cool.
We don't need that.
But I don't need it because the movies just did like a lot of the lore and everything for me. Whereas
sure.
Part of the
I think it is though for some fans, it is frustrating to like go from episode 2 where it's like the literal start of the Clone Wars and then go to episode 3 where it's like the very end. Right.
Yeah.
So I think it does flesh out that era pretty well. But yeah, I see what you mean. I don't need it.
I guess what I'm saying is it feels frustrating that like now I'm going to get to know so much more about Morgan Elsbeth through this like short like kind of like
6-episode series, right?
Which like she'll probably like she'll have like 3 episodes,
right?
And then
and Barris will have 3, right?
And so like I'll get these short these little vignettes, and it'll be interesting, but like it's a bummer that like that is how I'm going to learn more of the backstory and like character development, and we still like because I'm sure it'll be like, oh, and then this hypes up her like that fight with Ahsoka at the end, and maybe
I'm sure it's gonna add some weight to like her story in Mandalorian / Ahsoka for sure.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and then Barris obviously I don't know that much, but like I get to see General Grievous again, which is dope.
Well, you got to see General Grievous fight Morgan Elsbeth.
Oh, was that who?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's I want to see.
Super dope,
I want to know about that. So
yeah, it sounds like from what I can tell, like maybe they go to her, like they go to the Night Sister world and like just slaughter. Just slaughter them, which is I guess what happens during like between episode 3 and 4.
Right.
But yeah, we get to actually see that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, and some more Night Sister shit. So I love that.
And I mean, generally, like the tone feels right. Like it feels good. Like it's a nice balance just from like this trailer. Like I feel like it feels like quote unquote adult. Like it feels like they're taking the world like seriously. But like they did the same thing with Tales of the Jedi. So I think it looks great. I'm excited.
Did you watch Tales of the Jedi?
Yeah. It's
okay. A lot of people liked it. I know that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and everything they did with Count Dooku, I was like, this is insane. This is great. Like that's
Count Dooku needed to be fleshed out, which was nice to see him get picked.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, this looks great, and we're only like a month away from it, so that's super exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So I guess next up on our list is some more exciting news, depending on who you are. Silver Surfer was cast, and it is one of our favorite actresses, Julia Garner. Um,
Yes.
and so from what I've been reading about this is that she's not playing the traditional Silver Surfer. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's like I can't remember his
Shallow
name.
Hall. Oh, it's
Well,
Norrin
his
Rad.
yeah, Thornrad. Okay. Yeah, he's usually the Silver Surfer, and Shalabal is the woman he's in love with, who's the Empress of this world, and he kind of goes with Galactus to spare the world. He was living on with the Empress, but he later learns that like this world has actually been destroyed by Galactus, even though he sacrificed himself. Right, and so it sounds like they're going to be flipping it, where I would assume we're still gonna see like what did you say his name was?
Norrin Rad.
Norin Rad. Okay, that's what you said.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're still gonna see him, but it will be the Empress who like sacrifices herself for her own world. And that's the Silver Surfer we're gonna get to see.
Yeah, and like for anybody who is like upset about this, like I would just say this isn't a new character, and
Right.
she has been the Silver Surfer in the comics.
Yes, but this is different in a sense because she's only been it when like they were both the Silver Surfer. Like she's never been like the sole one.
But like he could, and who knows, maybe he will still be like the Silver Surfer. But like it is interesting because we can like another part of the because we can talk about later a bit of key information that like might also like be a reason why we're having this. But regardless, like the fact that it's not Norrin Rad, like if you are a Fantastic Four fan and you like Norrin Rad and you are just disappointed that it's not Norrin Rad, I understand that. And that's fine. Like you can be disappointed because like would I have traditionally liked Norrin Rad Silver Surfer? Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's the one I'm familiar with. Honestly, had no idea about this character and until like this casting. But I don't care because it doesn't really change anything. To be honest, like Julia Gardner has won 3 Emmys.
I think all on Ozark. Yeah.
Well, one of them was
you're right. It was
reinventing Anna or something.
Yes,
which I didn't see, but she's great. And if we're still following with what the Silver Surfer traditionally does, it really doesn't change anything. I think it sounds great. I think she's great. So
I think it's a new spin on that story while not like gender swapping anybody. You're just making another character the Silver Surfer that was heavily tied to that story already.
Right.
So I think it's a creative choice.
And the Silver Surfer does not need to be a male. Like there's nothing about Norrin Rad or the Silver Surfer that like.
But I could really understand why people would be upset if they like gender swapped.
I guess, but like the thing is like, I feel like if anybody said, well, Fantastic Four is not going to be good if it doesn't have, Norrin Rad. I'm like, we had a movie with Norrin Rad, and how did that turn out?
Sure. But you can't blame it on just Norrin Rad being Silver Surfer.
Right, but I'm saying like...
Right. Yeah, like, it's not going to make or break a movie. You're right. It's not.
Okay, so is it like with this movie, if we said, okay, the movie comes out and people say, I don't like it. And we go, okay, so you don't like it. Would it have been better if they had swapped just one sex character? And then they say, oh yeah, that would have made it better. Well, we know where you're feeling about things because that's ridiculous. Like that's utter like that changes literally nothing.
But I get like, I understand being like a massive fan of a property and not wanting to see like anything changed about it,
I know, and that's why I'm saying like if you are just disappointed about not seeing Norrin Rad, fine.
Sure.
But don't be like, well, now Fantastic Four sucks because I don't get this character and because it's a girl. I'm like, grow the fuck up. Honestly.
I really am excited to see Julia Garner.
Me too.
As Shalabal.
And
that's
I think
be great.
I think that's sick. Like I do think and I saw the character design. I'm like, that looks cool.
Yeah. I don't know if she's gonna have that flowy of a hair, but I'd be down for it. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I guess this also obviously confirms that Galactus is the main villain of this movie.
I mean, I feel like it's gotta be.
Well,
right?
yeah. I mean, if you have Silver Surfer, it's like it has to be Galactus.
Exactly.
There's no other choice.
Which I guess we should preface. If you don't know about Silver Surfer, they are a herald of Galactus who gets sent out to find worlds for Galactus, who's like a giant man who eats planets. Or if you're the 2007 Fantastic Four movie, he's a giant space cloud. Which I gotta be honest, when I saw that movie, but here's the thing. At that point in time,
man, you liked it.
It would have been I felt like it could have been goofy if he was like this big floating
But think about how much more kindly that the movie would be looked upon if it didn't have Cloud Galactus.
I kind of liked Cloud Galactus a little bit.
I think you got some nostalgia bias, maybe.
But like, I was trying to think about it. I'm like, how do you not make that cheesy? Like somehow in the MCU, like I feel like you can do it now because we've seen such insane shit that's been pulled off. But like back in 2007, I was like, yeah, I don't know how people would take to like this giant man in this like very somewhat grounded reality, you know?
Yeah, sure.
So like I appreciated what they did. And like they even tried to like give him like a bit of the head shape at one point in the movie. All right, whatever.
Yeah. But the other piece of news, which was pretty interesting surrounding Fantastic Four, was there's a poster dropped for 4 Day.
Well, hold on. Before we get to that, what do you think about having like Galactus as like the main villain?
Oh,
potentially.
I mean, I'm very down for it. Yeah, I mean, I love seeing Celestials. It's very similar to Ego, who just wanted to consume all the planets for him, and that was a great storyline. So, I'm super down. I think we've been wanting to see Galactus for years, honestly. So
yeah, I hope it's Galactus. I really do. But at the same time, I feel like we got to have like a Doom. And
well, I mean that's gonna be, you know, at the very end of the movie. I think they're gonna like tease him a little bit. Yeah,
I know, but I feel like going into the Avengers movies, like I feel like now they might change it up and they don't need to have Doom at all. But I feel like they'd want to have Doom.
He'll be established. I think he'll be established for sure, but not the main focus of this movie. Yeah.
But I do think that if it is Galactus, I do think we're gonna see him as like this gigantic being. I don't know how he'll work.
It'll be like how Eternals worked, you know?
You think so?
For sure. Yeah.
Because didn't Arishem just like appear out of nowhere?
Yes. Yeah.
So maybe that's what'll happen.
I think that's what'll happen. Yeah. You're not going to see like a man like coming towards Earth or anything. Yeah.
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 Okay. That would be funny though.
It would be. Yeah. It'd be like a meteor coming in.
Yeah, like have that Adam Warlock like.
Oh yeah, like the crazy on you, right?
The crazy on you heart song.
Oh wait, was it? It might have been.
Yeah.
It was a Barracuda.
No, it was crazy.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that'd be great. But yeah, the other cool news was the poster that dropped on 4 Day. We got a little like 4 in the sky being trailed by Human Torch.
Human Torch, yeah.
And got a very futuristic looking city in the background.
I didn't like I know people like had since like when they came out had like started talking about it. I just saw the poster and immediately was like, what is that? What is going on in that? Because like I was like, that does not look like any established city that I could even think. Like even within like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it was like those building shapes are like way too futuristic.
Yeah, and for it to be set in the 60s, like, so that clearly tells you like this is not Earth 616. This is a different universe. It sounds like they'll probably be pulled in from a different universe. But I think this is how you really like, and it really makes sense to me how you make Reed Richards, if you're gonna like time travel him from like the 60s to, you know, or to his 60s universe to our modern universe. I think like you have to have a more advanced civilization that was present in the 60s, and to like make him more on the same like intellectual playing field as like Tony Stark or Bruce Banner, you know?
Yeah. I feel like from what I can gather, this either a large amount of the movie will be set in an alternate universe, unless we're being completely duped right now, but I don't think we are. I think everything that they've been putting out has been very intentional and exciting. And I think either it's a large part of the movie, or let's say like they had to find a way because they couldn't stop Galactus and they went into the main 616 universe, or something happens. They're probably going to end up in the 616 somehow.
Yeah.
And if I had to guess, all the events of the 1960s in the world is still the same, but they have technologically advanced much faster than we have. Like, way
I'm curious to see
ahead.
what the reason is. Like, what's changed in their universe that is making things so different, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's like, I was listening to a guy on a podcast, Robert Meyer Burnett, and he was saying the Fantastic Four, like Jack Kirby, when they were being introduced and why people started to get into them, was like how like super science the world was, and how like kind of elevated everything was. And when you put them in a very grounded universe, you get kind of what happened in 2004, 2007 with those first Fantastic Four movies, where it's like they should be kind of like super science, like technologically advanced sort of feeling. And I also like think about it a lot of the same way with like Fallout. Like it seems like a lot of like the events of Fallout, like they maintained a lot of the cultural and like fashion senses and all that stuff of the 50s, but they just like had technologically advanced so much faster.
Right. Because of nuclear power. Right.
Yeah. And there's a bit of that, like, you know, World Fair, like tomorrow, like imagine what the future could be. Like it's all like very super, I guess, instead
futuristic
of like
in sense.
Well, not dystopian, but more like
futuristic.
Like, yeah, like where like the 50s, like science fiction used to be like everything's like round and shiny, and like it isn't technology going to be amazing and cool.
Right.
Which is kind of the vibe I'm picking. Because you see that poster, it's like Time, or the thing's reading like the Time magazine. So it seems like all of these events have played out.
Like, are going to play out the same way, but we're just in that's so odd. Yeah, I mean, even that to me doesn't make sense, because like technology would just change everything, to be honest. I think, yes, but I think like, or at least like maybe, I think there'll be changes, but I think a lot of big things will still kind of be the same. And I imagine maybe if we maybe if they do get pulled over, either they'll pop into this our 60s for a bit, or they won't hit the 60s. And they'll pop into modern day, and it'll be a bit of a like fish out of water, like Steve Rogers sort of thing. That'll be so odd for them to like go from 60s futuristic to modern day less futuristic. Like they're gonna be like, why are we not advanced past what? Like this is 60 years in the future, and they're like less advanced than us. Like what's going on? Yeah, that'll be very cool to see.
Yeah, I think
I'm really hyped about this concept.
That's what I'm thinking is potentially going on.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why when we're talking about Julia Garner, I still think there's the possibility that we still see a Norrin Rad, but that would be like the 616. But we might never see it.
But,
And honestly, that's okay with me. I don't need it.
In headcanon, like if Galactus ever eventually like came into, you know, like the storyline and the Silver Surfer was going to happen, and like Norrin Rad would be that person for Earth 616.
Yeah.
But because it's an alternate, like things are changing.
Right.
And right. So that's one of the changes.
And I think that we could still see Julia Garner if we do go over to the 616, like as Shalabal, but not the Silver Surfer. And she gets to play like a whole other kind of reiteration of the character potentially. And I think this is how we're also going to get the X-Men. I feel fairly certain that when Secret Wars happens, the universe is going to be like kind of reset in a lot of ways. And we are just going to have a completely like new quote unquote 616, where all these different universes just got like mixed up together. And now we're like, we have mutants, we have the Fantastic Four. Like it's all just like coalesced.
But you're not saying that like they're gonna be pulled in, like, are you saying like there's gonna be an X-Men? You think there's gonna be an X-Men movie, and then they'll be pulled in as well to like 616, or do you think Secret Wars will just reset it and then we'll see X-Men afterwards?
I think that's probably what's gonna happen.
I agree. I think that's probably what's gonna happen. Yeah. I don't like. I think when like the way we'll see the X-Men in like Secret Wars, I think we'll probably get a lot of like. And I could be very wrong, but in my head, it feels like we're probably going to be getting a lot of like the older cast who are going to be X-Men.
Yeah,
and I think Deadpool 3 is going to set that up.
Yeah, and I think like the fact that you have Monica Rambeau meeting like Hank McCoy in this other universe, I think that like
Kelsey Grammer's Hank McCoy. You know,
yeah, like, and I think you get those characters pulled in to I don't want to spoil anything for Secret Wars, but because of how that movie, that comic book does stuff, I think after it, we'll have new X-Men.
Yeah.
But like, we're introduced to those characters, or now this is different. Some things have changed. And like, it's not that they've always been there. It's that things have just inevitably changed. And to be honest, that could mean that we get a new Iron Man.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably like basically get another phase 1 after phase 6. I think that's basically how it's going to go. I don't think they can keep going and do a 7, 8, and 9. You know, it's just
wild.
It's not sustainable. Yeah, unfortunately. But
what if they could?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would want to stick around for that.
I think they could. I just think that the reason that phases 4 and 5 were so poorly done is because there was like a mandate to like, let's get as much stuff for Disney Plus. Let's get so much content out. Like, let's stretch Kevin Feige as thin as basically possible to meet these like quotas. And now we're having like nope, we're completely redoing Daredevil. We're rewriting Captain America, like all these things we're getting like, and I feel
rewriting Blade. Yeah.
Rewriting Blade. Like, I think like keep it quality. And I think you could do it, but I think it would be like crazy, like 6 years from now. And we're like, whoa, phase 12 is crazy.
That would be so wild, dude. Like, and I do think it's possible we get a 7, 8, 9 because we are getting quite a like a lot of characters being introduced recently. You know, like I think it would almost be a shame to see them like introduced, used for 200 movies, and then we're done. You know, like.
Right.
I think we probably need to see a little more like if Blade is introduced, like, you know, at the beginning of phase 6 and he's just in phase 6, then like that's a shame, you know?
Yeah. So
I don't know. Yeah. Well,
I mean, I feel like X-Men Fantastic Four, like you got so much content there.
Agreed. It
story
wouldn't even
there.
be. It wouldn't be an Avengers like universe anymore. It would actually be like a Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is exciting. That would be exciting to finally see. It would have been nice though if we got some hints of mutants and stuff like in the beginning of this universe, so it could feel like
right,
I guess natural.
But we couldn't, and that's fine.
Couldn't. That's fine. Yeah. But we will now. Well, yeah, those are my thoughts on all that Fantastic Four news. If you want to jump to our hypothetical, yeah. So yeah, Zach came up with a hypothetical this week. He said if you could do a movie or TV show for any Batman character, a TV show or a movie spinoff for any Batman character, what would it be?
Right.
So yeah, I'm curious to hear what you came up with.
So, kind of wanted to do one that was more. Both of them, I guess, I thought of a bit more realistically, but I kind of wanted to do two because one of them I feel like we've seen before, but has a potential to be like just a solo thing. And then I wanted to kind of have fun with another one that's a bit more fantastical. But the main one that I actually think would make for a very good kind of like how Joker was done story would be a Two-Face movie.
Okay, interesting.
We've seen it in The Dark Knight, and in a lot of ways, like that is much a Harvey Dent movie, like Long Halloween sort of movie, as it is still a Batman Joker movie. And I think the idea of having, you don't really even need to have Batman. Like it's just like you have this, this DA of Gotham who's coming in and he's like very idealistic and he wants to do good and he's rustling some feathers and he's,
right.
And then this horrible, like, and if you go with like the Long Halloween, like there's some trouble at home, sort of, and like we start to have like issues come about, and then he gets this horrible like disfiguration occur, and then we start to have him turn into a villain and kind of be the opposite of what he was, the complete opposite of what he was originally fighting for. And I think that idea for a character and a movie could be so tragic and also maybe a cautionary tale, or
it could feel very Joker-esque for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, and like have like a lot of it could be very what's the word? Not metaphorical, but like, like the I guess for lack of a better word, like term, just like a cautionary tale, this kind of story of like what could happen, what not to be. And I don't know, I've always liked Two-Face. I always liked Harvey Dent. I think he's a very interesting character. And I think there's something really cool that could be done with that.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the one that I wanted to kind of have fun with, which is still, this is what I kind of want the Batman 2 to be.
Okay.
I also think would be a great story. I love the backstory. Give me a Mr. Freeze. I want a star-crossed lovers, hopelessly in love, tragedy occurs, Victor Freeze and his wife Nora, something terrible happens to his wife. His only almost like a Breaking Bad, if you will, of right. He starts stealing and doing crime to find a cure for his wife, and all the while like he's dealing with like a health issue, and I just think like there could be like such a tragic and I think I like
that one more, to be honest. Yeah.
I
think that one's pretty exciting.
So that would be that would be the one that's a little bit more fantastical. But I would, if there's a way to do it a little bit more grounded, like I think I'd love it.
But you could set that in its own universe and have it be fantastical, you know?
Sure.
It doesn't have to be attached to anything.
Right. Yeah. So like I think that one's kind of the more fun, like weird one to do.
Right,
but
right.
I think like there's enough story with him that you could start it off like two lovers, they're scientists, really, really like when the tragedy happens, like feel absolutely gutted, and then like you can kind of understand, because I don't think that Mr. Freeze is necessarily like a evil dude. I think he's just like wants to be in love and save his wife,
Sure.
So
yeah, it's a good story, good backstory. Yeah.
So that's mine.
Okay.
What is Ian tripped me up because he was like, "Well, I kind of did what you said, but it's like a group of
kind of
people."
cheated,
And I'm like, "Well, is it the Bat Family? Is it an Arkham Asylum ensemble? Is it the Gotham City Sirens?" So I don't know what you picked, but
yeah. So I was a little like, this is funny that inspired me with this. The two things I would say, a little inspired by the I guess I would say the comic that came out recently for Spider-Man, where they've changed quite a bit of things. You know how like Ben's still alive and Peter is like in his like 30s or 40s or whatever.
He's not Spider-Man.
Yeah, and he doesn't turn Spider-Man until he's like that age, right?
Right.
I would do, and then the other thing was the recent Gotham Knights game, and I think that could be done so much better. So yeah, you kind of got it right. I would focus my movie, I guess I would say, on three characters being Nightwing, Tim Drake's Robin, and Barbara Gordon's Batgirl. And it wouldn't have to be like the traditional, Batman has died and now like we're like, the Justice League exists, like he's away from Gotham quite a bit of the time. He could just be like going and dealing with like a world threat, and this is a time where it's just those three in Gotham, and I would do it where it was like, obviously usually Dick Grayson meets Deathstroke early on in his career as Robin, where I would have like Deathstroke lurking in the shadows waiting for Batman to leave, and then like when he's grown up and as Nightwing do the story of Deathstroke, and it would be very much like in line with he has a group. Technically he has like two people he's looking after, like he had the Titans in his arc in Teen Titans and whatnot. And I think it could be a really cool, interesting setting for that kind of a story. Yeah.
No Jason Todd.
Unfortunately, I think Jason Todd, if he's alive, he's just doing his own thing somewhere else.
Okay.
I just don't. I can't.
You wouldn't want him showing up at any point in the movie.
Maybe like as like if Nightwing needs to like call somebody for advice, maybe he talks to Jason. But like I really don't feel like a Red Hood character is in line with the Bat Family. Like even if he's a good guy, he's just not like really like what they're doing.
Right.
He's got his own kind of philosophy, and I think he's just like, I think he'd serve as a better purpose somewhere else.
Gotcha.
But I think those three, like you basically like put Nightwing in the Batman shoes and have him looking out for Rob, like a new Robin who he was once, and then maybe do a love interest thing with him and Barbara Gordon if you want to. She could turn to Oracle maybe at some point, which is kind of tragic, obviously.
Right.
But I love her as Oracle.
That might be a lot to put in a movie.
It is. So maybe a TV show would be better. I imagined it as a movie, but TV shows can be done really well now.
Right.
So, that's my idea. Yeah. So I kind of cheated and made it about 3 instead of 1, but I've always wanted those 3 to be like focused on.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's pretty cool.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'm glad I didn't cheat too hard there then.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was still allowed by the by the author. But yeah, that's our hypothetical this week. Yeah. So next topic is one that I know you're pretty excited about.
Right.
I don't know if you want to introduce.
So this one's a little weird. So we have a movie that is being shopped around that is based off a Rob Liefeld character. Rob Liefeld, who created Deadpool.
Yep.
He also created this character called Avengelyne, and it is being reported that it's being shopped around with Olivia Wilde, who directed Booksmart and Don't Worry, Darling, and would have Margot Robbie presumably attached to play the lead character of Avengelyne.
Well, I mean, I've only heard that she would be producing so far.
Okay. Okay.
Well, that would be cool.
But and if she's not acting, then I guess producing, which
Right.
like cool. I'm down. I'll say this: if you want to learn about who Avengelyne is, and this is all from Deadline. Avengelyne is an angel who fights the forces of evil and often finds herself face to face with demons and monsters. She was the most feared warrior in Heaven's War Host. Don't know what that is, but it's got something to do with God. Having single-handedly broken into Pandemonium, which must be some realm, I guess. The outer fortress of hell. Okay. To confront the devil himself. She's a fallen angel, banished from heaven after being tricked into questioning his love for humans. Stripped of her angelic abilities other than her great strength and blood, which once extracted from her body could be used as a weapon or a miracle once empowered by quoting verses from the Bible.
Wild.
She uses her powers to fight demons on Earth and is being groomed to be humankind's last hope in a coming Armageddon. So wild concept. I don't know
super wild
how much that is going to be faithfully put into this movie.
Yeah.
But I think Margot Robbie's been attaching herself as a producer to a few projects lately.
Yeah.
And I got Olivia Wilde, Booksmart. So like for me, she's 1 and like a 0.5, like not exactly an O, but like a 0.5, because Booksmart was great, and that was her debut, and I love Booksmart. It's
but then she
possibly
did,
like a better version of Superbad, and then Don't Worry, Darling. I
think a lot of people would say she's 1 and 1, but yeah.
I think Don't Worry, Darling is really interesting, but it just kind of all the interesting things about it just kind of like didn't
fall flat.
Like, they fell. So like, I won't say that like, because that movie and the way it was directed for the most part, I think was really well done.
Okay.
But like the story and the things that it was building to just didn't like kind of fulfill. So anyways, I still think she's great. And I think that if she wants to go into this super like fantastical action sort of dark movie, then I am here for it. I'm at least intrigued. I want to know what the take is. And you know, I feel like all of her movies have so far been based off female characters that are not traditionally like what you would put as what you would say like a female character has been traditionally in the past. Like they're given more, like Florence Pugh was put in a position that like she wasn't like, she was the one finding out things, and like she was propelling the story. She was not just this like damsel in distress, and like we find out who the villain is, and
sure.
She has agency. And Booksmart was like pretty much like a smarter, better version of Superbad, and had interesting well-developed female characters. So I'm hoping that this Avengelyne character isn't going to just be like I feel like hopefully it's like makes women have like a character that's like badass and cool, but isn't like just like that faux like kind of feminist like, well, we can do it too, or like, just
right, right.
like actually
you
have
want
like
some depth,
like
sure.
a dope character. And I do
not
think
just a
the name
badass, right?
Avengelyne sounds kind of corny.
But it's pretty cool. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of cool. So I don't know. I have high hopes. I'm very, but I have no idea what to think because the premise is crazy.
I think it's a really risky movie. I think like I think like comic book readers are going to be down, but like outside of that, like so it plays super heavily into like Christian themes, which like I know a lot of people aren't like super into. And then for like the people who are actually Christians, like, are they gonna like really love this movie about some like badass like angel who's like been banished and
here's the thing, we
uses,
say that
like Bible scripture to like empower her blood, and I don't know, it's just I think there's gonna be two sides who are like not super into this, and then I don't know, like maybe it finds an audience. It very well could,
right?
But I think it'll be like a hard road. Yeah.
I know, like you say that, but then like we have like vampires, and like there's a lot of like when you get into like Van Helsing and like vampire stories, like there's still that religious elements. You have like Constantine, which is very much like kind of rooted in like
Constantine,
some demons and the Bible, and so
that's
like
true. That's true.
I think I don't know, like hopefully it won't turn too many people off. I think the evangelical Christians, like there's no way that they're going to be about this.
Right.
But I can't say that unless like they're playing it, because it sounds to me like she's not necessarily like in love with being like reading the Bible necessarily. Like it feels like that's like a way to get her powers to start. And she's probably got some,
but I mean, to be an angel, you have to be pretty like dedicated to God, right?
But now if she's cast out, maybe she's got some bitterness,
But she does she does like avenge herself in a sense. Like I think that is like the purpose of the story. So I think like she probably comes back to that point of like she's redeemed herself,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there'll be an audience. It just depends on how they play it.
Yeah. I'm
honestly
down for it, Yeah.
I have no issue, like that new Monkey Man movie coming out with Dev Patel.
Yeah,
very religious, like a lot of religious themes there. I don't care. I just want it to be good. I don't like. Sure, I'm not super religious anymore, but I'm very familiar with like the Bible and the themes, and like I don't care. I think it sounds cool. Like I don't. Like it's not turning me off at all.
No, for sure. Yeah, I think it's a super cool concept. I'm pretty much in line with you. I'd love if Margot Robbie was to act in this, but I know she said like recently that she kind of wants to step back from acting for a little bit. So we'll see. But yeah, I think it's a cool concept, and one I'd be down to see on the theater screen. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, our next topic here, we got, I think the news that we all were expecting, which was that Dune Part 3, Dune Messiah, has been confirmed to be the end of the trilogy, and it's in development with Denis Villeneuve. So yeah, I think we were all expecting that. I don't think the studio was going to let him not make it. You know, but yeah, I think it's great news. I think from everything I've been hearing about Dune Messiah, it's like it's insane from what I hear. But I think it's which should still probably be the crazy good ending to a trilogy. But yeah, I don't know if you also want me to mention the other news there,
right?
That Dennis is doing.
So
you got it. Okay.
Yeah. So along with the confirmation that Denny is going to be working on developing a third Dune movie. He is also in discussion to make an adaptation of a 2020. So this is like a new book. Like this is 2024 Pulitzer Prize finalist. It's called Nuclear War, a Scenario. And he is going to either he's going to produce, adapt, and / or direct. And basically the book explores a ticking clock scenario about what would happen in the event of a nuclear war based on dozens of exclusive new interviews with military and civilian experts who built the weapons and have been privy to the response plans and have been responsible for those decisions should they needed to be made.
Right.
So we had Oppenheimer. And now Warner Brothers is like, let's get some more. Well, I guess they didn't do
nuke stuff. Right.
I guess Warner Brothers didn't do Oppenheimer because they fucked Christopher Nolan. So they're like, well, let's get our nuclear movie.
It was still released by Warner Brothers.
No, it was released by Universal because he was with Warner Brothers up until they put out Tenet day and day, and he was like, okay, I'm not gonna go work with Warner Brothers anymore because they pissed off all those filmmakers. So he went with Universal.
Okay, interesting.
And so regardless, I think that this book sounds extremely interesting, but also probably terrifying. I can't imagine.
Nuclear war is always terrifying. So,
sure, but like the fact that like there's been these interviews with people who were in charge of plans and know the response plans. It's like, I think this is something that like Denny, if he chose to direct it, which who knows if this will be before or after Dune 3, would potentially do a great job at, because if you see Arrival, he did such a good job. Even if he wrote it, I think it would be sick. But if you saw Arrival, he did such a good job at, if there was this alien first contact, how would all these other nations respond to it? And I think he did such a good job of making you feel the intensity and the ticking time clock of like, we need to solve this issue before somebody does something stupid and like just ruins everything.
Right.
So I think the book and adaptation sounds incredible. And with regards to Dune 3, although I haven't read Dune Messiah yet, I have it sitting on my bookshelf. I should probably just go read it after this book I'm reading. But from what I understand, a lot of people who like the Dune movies might not love how Dune Messiah ends. And he made a lot of adaptations to Dune 2. And I'm wondering if he will kind of
steer
really
things in a certain direction,
steer things like a lot different. I still am fairly sure that there's no way that I think it would be a pretty bad thing if he ended Dune 3 on a good note. I think it has to be a tragedy. I think it has to be like a fall from grace. So I still think there'll be core elements there, but I'm just excited that we get a third one, because I don't think that, as I love Dune 2, but I still don't feel like that was a conclusive,
like a final ending. Right.
Yeah.
Like it can't be the final ending to that story.
Right.
I think people who are like still in love with Paul Atreides are gonna have like a bummer of a time with this movie. From what I'm hearing about Dennis from Dune Messiah.
Yeah, and I feel like if you are in love with Paul Atreides, like really think about
like everything he's done.
Now, there's a lot of good things for sure. That like there's great things to take away from that character.
Once he becomes the Kwisatz, man.
I like, you gotta.
Yeah. He changes a bit, man. He changes, man. Yeah. So yeah, like I'm excited. Hopefully it comes out in the next 3 years at least. I'm willing to wait 3 years for that, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other movie, also nuclear war scenario. Super excited for that.
Yeah.
If that comes out first, I wouldn't be too upset. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'd rather have Doom Aside come out first. But a movie that really like reminded me of or that nuclear war scenario really reminded me of was I don't know if you ever seen War Games
Ooh.
with Matthew Broderick.
Ooh.
It came out in '82.
Oh no.
No. So that's a really good one where he's just a super smart kid who like hacks into like this government program and starts playing like games with it. And so he plays this like basically this world, like I guess war game where there's nukes and shit involved and like, and so like apparently that accidentally like sets off that program to like launch nuclear like
God.
missiles, right? And so like the whole journey is like getting to that point, like where like he has to like fix things and so it's really well done where this program knows about tic-tac-toe and like how there can't be a really like if two people are smart enough, there can't be a winner to tic-tac-toe because you just right you're just going to keep tying over and over again. And so he basically like he like makes it understand that like nuclear war is that kind of a game where it can't win any scenario it goes into. So it finally like shuts down the codes. And I'm like, it's not like super close to like, I guess this movie that we're describing, but it is like, in a sense, like a real world scenario of like how nuclear war would go. And I think, if you haven't seen War Games, I think it's a really good one that you should watch.
It's interesting that it's tic-tac-toe because like when I was reading a book recently, it was like just saying that like whoever is second will never win. The best they can do is tie.
Right. Yeah. So I guess that's a good way to like make you think like, yeah, I could easily die in this scenario for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love War Games, so yeah, I'm super excited to see another like nuclear kind of scenario type movie.
You're excited?
So, I am excited for that movie. Okay, Zach. I think it's a cool fucking like concept that I want to see.
No, it is a cool concept. Yeah. It just I'm excited, but I'm just a little. It makes me a little nervous because these are more recent things,
Sure. I guess I just like to think that like humanity in itself, like anybody who launches the first has to know that like they're dooming humanity. And that's what I would like to think. But who knows? Maybe we're all not that smart. Yeah.
I don't think we're that smart.
Well, I think we can talk about one more piece of news here if you want.
Sure.
Yeah. So we got the news that director Drew Goddard, who has done Cloverfield and recently, what movie did he do recently? Do you remember?
Well, he wrote Cloverfield, he wrote The Martian, he wrote World War Z, and then he was the writer and director for The Cabin in the Woods and Bad Times at the El Royale.
Right. So he came to, I guess, Warner Brothers and was like, "Hey, I got an idea on how we can move the franchise forward," and he would, I guess, direct this movie. And I guess Lily Wachowski signed off on it, which is good. I was worried that like those two, like Lily and I can't remember her name, but the Wachowskis, I was worried they wouldn't be involved at all or like wouldn't have ever approved this. But the fact that they approved it is nice.
Right.
But yeah, there's no plot details at the moment. They're definitely keeping it tight. And I don't know. I don't know if you saw if you've seen all the Matrix movies or not.
I didn't see the last one.
So yeah, that's what's interesting is that like I even feel like the end of the third one like sets up more Matrix down the road. And they do bring it back in that sense for Matrix 4 and like I think it's called Matrix Resurrections, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But it does feel like there could be a fifth and sixth movie that like comes after that movie. So I'm very curious if like Drew Goddard's direction like completely ignores that movie, or if we're like going to be following new characters. I mean, that would be my preference. Maybe is to follow new characters. I did like the fourth movie more than like 2 and 3 probably, which is wild to say. So if they did scrap it, I might be like still a little upset that like we just have this plot that's never going to be finished. But I mean, like if the Wachowskis signed off on it, it's not like they've done everything great for their franchise, but I like to think they know their world more than anybody else. And if they approve it, then I think it's probably a good story. Hopefully.
I mean, I think as a writer, at least, like he's written some really great things, even if like The Martian was like an adaptation. But I think like writing wise, I think it would be interesting to see what the story is. I don't think that the Wachowskis, like I think the Wachowskis like changed things like forever when The Matrix came out. But since then, yes,
it's not like any of the movies have been great since.
Like I do enjoy 2. 3 is got
like,
some good parts, but
like
you know,
I enjoy parts of both of those like sequel movies, and I enjoy parts of 4, probably more parts than in 2 and 3. But 4 isn't like I would say a good movie per se either.
Right.
So having somebody else take over the helm of it might not be a bad idea.
Right. Like I like that the creators, at least one of them, is like kind of signing off and being like, okay, like, and you know, probably doing some oversight with it. But you know, I only saw The Cabin in the Woods. I didn't see Bad Times at the El Royale. But The Cabin in the Woods I really enjoy. So like obviously like there's not a whole lot to compare with you know work that he's done, but you know I have hopes.
And I like Cloverfield.
And so I don't know. I obviously haven't seen Resurrections. I don't know if like you would want to keep Neo and Trinity, and I don't know. But like canonically, like, and I don't know if you care about spoilers, but like they are in the universe. They're alive again. Like they're around. You know? So like to ignore that would feel so weird to me. You know, like it almost has to be focused on them in a sense. But I don't know. I don't know what you do. Well, because you were saying you would prefer new characters.
If you were to ignore the last movie, then I think you have to do it with new characters.
Oh, okay.
You know, like I think you could ignore the last movie and be like, oh, I guess they're probably still dead or whatever. You know, like, or that's how like the third one ends, where they're still like, I don't know. I can't remember exactly how it ends, but I know like Neo. I'm pretty sure Neo is dead by the end of the third movie, right?
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, and then Trinity as well. Trinity also dies.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, if you want to ignore the fourth movie, do new characters. But if you want to not ignore it, you got to focus it on those two. That's my thoughts. Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know how would you have to reboot the franchise, or could
if you were to ignore that fourth movie?
Yeah.
I don't think so, because like, but if like for the third movie, it's very, very like well stated that there's like basically a truce. There's not like this like between like the AI and like the technology and like the people, right? Like there's this truce. There's not going to be a war for a while. I think it's not like a like full resolution in the sense that like everyone is going to be happy from here on out. Like there's going to be an eventual war, I think, again. And they show that in 4 a bit, that there was another eventual war. But yeah, I think if you want to start it at that point where like it starts, like the conflict starts again, you can do that. You know, it wouldn't have to be a reboot.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm curious what Drew Goddard's got cooking in his head, and we'll see for sure. But yeah, this is I think the time where we like to talk about what we watched in the last week. Did you watch anything interesting or anything? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the new Survivor episode.
Did you see? We haven't talked about it in 2 episodes. Did you watch both episodes?
Yeah.
Yeah. We won't go into too much of a rant as last week. I'll try and keep my questions to a minimal.
Okay.
But yeah, spoilers for everyone out there. Crazy that first episode that you did the watch party for. Like your favorite guy almost went home. That was intense.
Who was my favorite guy?
Ben. I thought Ben might have been your favorite.
Oh yeah, Ben almost went home. Yeah,
I was so
but no,
worried. Yeah,
Gem with a fucking idol.
Idol in her pocket. Yeah.
Oh, that was brutal.
Just found it.
Brutal.
And then based on that, like that totally screwed up the game for Mariah.
Yeah, but then why'd she gotta say all that shit at Tribal?
She honestly, like, she played her hand wrong, unfortunately. Like, I think she should have like come out way more aggressive with the fact that like they weren't a group. But I think she felt like at that point they were still watching her back, which they were in a sense. But she was at the bottom. Like she was at the bottom of their alliance, and she realized it way too late, and just played all her cards at the end, and no one believed her. So yeah, I think she played it wrong. Unfortunately, I liked her, but yeah, she had to go, I guess.
But now maybe Venus can fucking leave because she's driving me fucking crazy.
Whew, yeah, like I get it. Venus is frustrated with her tribe and she hasn't got to play the game at all. But like she came out the gate hard, dude. Like way too hard. And like no one likes her now. Like I don't think anyone wants to work with her. Even the person she liked, Mariah, didn't want to work with her. So yeah, I think she's pretty doomed. I think she has no idea how to play the game either, even though she's smart. She just has no restraint.
Does.
Yeah, she thinks she does, but she has zero restraint on when to not like speak her mouth or speak her mind. So yeah, I think Siga's in a good spot and Yanu's in a good spot, but yeah, there's gonna be some trouble for sure for Venus. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the merge was exciting and fun. I love
merge was exciting. I thought that when all the guys got pretty much on their team, that like that was gonna be such an uneven like I was like, oh, this isn't even probably worth watching. And then I was like, oh my god, this is extremely close.
Extremely close. They weren't even doing well at the gate. Like the other tribe or the other group was like going way faster through that mud pit, and I was like, what is going on, guys? You gotta put some more effort into this. But yeah, it was 7 people safe, which is insane. They usually do that after a merge.
Well, now 2 people are going home next.
Yeah, 2 people. So I don't know how they might do it in a sense where like they split up the tribe into separate tribal councils. So like 6 will vote their own way, and then another 6 will vote their own way, and then they'll all come back to like their camp and see who was voted out. And yeah. So hopefully they've done that way in the past. I hope that's how they do it. It's always exciting. But yeah, Survivor's good as hell, man.
Yeah. So I was watching that. I besides that, it's pretty much just been Shogun.
Oh yeah.
And that was some like
I am gonna start watching that
red wedding shit. Like,
oh wow, that dramatic. Wild.
Ian, you just gotta watch it. You gotta watch it.
We'll do.
It's so good.
Yeah. I definitely have the time now. I finished. So what I watched this week, I finished The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live. That honestly was a really good 6 episodes. I'm pretty happy with most everything in that show. I talked about the first 3 episodes on here already. Episode 4 is genuinely one of like the best episodes like that Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick, has like ever done. He acted his ass off in that episode, and they did some like really cool conclusions for characters in the last couple of episodes, and brought in characters that I wasn't expecting from like the original show, and I was like, this is getting really good. and it's not like I would say the finale was like, it might have been the weakest episode of the season, but it was still good overall and had a really like great ending for Rick and Michonne that I think we all had been wanting to see for like years and years at this point. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Like it could have been longer, yeah. Like I wouldn't have minded that, but definitely the best spinoff show The Walking Dead has done at this point.
Cool.
So,
nice.
Yeah, and then last night I watched Empire Strikes Back, which is such a great Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
so fucking good. Top 3 for me for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's all I've been watching.
I also watched real quick Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, okay. How was that?
At first, I would say half of the movie, I was like, what is everyone talking about? This is great. Like, this is really good.
Well, I know a lot of people still like it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But like, there was a lot of people who are like pretty disappointed. And then I'll say, I really do it. Like, I'm sure they're going to make a sequel, and I'm there for it. I do want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
They just started making some decisions started
the last half.
Right. Yeah, the last half, they started making some decisions and kind of were like ignored things and just kind of like
killing going on.
Yeah, like there was just a lot of there's just a lot of things that got glazed over, and like we jumped to things, and like I was like, okay, yeah, this got a little messy towards the end. Right. But I would love to see a sequel, and I think that the lore, I actually started watching like a YouTube video on the lore, and I was like, wow,
I know it is a little different.
So much lore.
I think they start later on in the lore in this one, from what I hear.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
But I was like, I didn't realize how much lore there was. So
yeah. I mean, our friend Jared was obsessed with the lore and like those games at one point.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I think, it's the most successful like indie game of all time, or like
it probably is. Spawned like 6 spinoff games.
yeah. So like it's definitely cool. I think that they did the animatronics well. I think Josh Hutcherson was really great. I think a lot of the concepts they were working with
Matthew
were
Lillard.
like, right. Matthew Lillard was really good.
Good.
He wasn't in it a lot, but when he was in it, he was really good.
Okay.
And yeah, I think like all the backstory and like the character development was like really good. It just started to like get a little, but I don't know, it got a little weird. But I was worried about like how they were going to handle the deaths. All the deaths were really great. Like they were but like there wasn't enough. Right. I guess
that's what I was hearing.
There wasn't enough like scariness, but when it was scary, it was really good.
Did you feel also like there was way too many flashbacks?
No,
or like dream sequences, I guess I should say.
No, I didn't mind them. No, I didn't mind them.
Okay. I know that was also a complaint that people had.
I thought it was a cool concept, personally.
Okay. Cool.
It was a little weird. They didn't really explain the situation, but
the girl in his isn't there like a girl in the flashbacks or the dream scenarios or whatever? And isn't she like maybe one of the animatronics or something? Or
you see the kids that are abducted in his dream sequences eventually.
Oh, okay.
But like you're like, how are they there? But it's not really ever explained.
He just has magical dreams. It's okay. Yeah.
Well, it's because of this book he's been reading.
Okay.
It's a little ridiculous, but it's I don't know.
Yeah. It's an interesting direction, at least.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all we watched then. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you all again for sticking with us another week on episode 53. If you want to watch us in the future, we release on Fridays and Saturdays on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and Spotify, as well as video versions on YouTube. If you want to follow us on our socials, we have our links in the description to Instagram and TikTok. And if you want to support us one more time, we would always appreciate a like, a comment, a rating, a review, or a subscribe.
Yep. Thank you so much if you've been listening to us this long. If you've gotten to the end of this, hope you enjoyed the things that we talked about. If you have any suggestions for things that we should put as a hypothetical, or any topics you wish we talked about, please let us know.
Yeah, put in the comments below. Absolutely.
Yeah. And with that said, until next time.